Hey y'all, it is Mel the Scientist and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be looking at Roko's Basilisk, the most terrifying thought experiment. Now I will admit I have never heard of this before in my life, but I love thought experiments. I got honors in philosophy in college, so I live for this kind of stuff. So let's check it out because I want to know what's up.
What I'm about to tell you is considered by some very serious thinkers to be an information hazard. Information that just by knowing it is potentially harmful to yourself and to others. Make no mistake, I am making an ethical decision just telling you about this idea.
Seriously?
I feel okay doing so because I don't take the risk seriously. However, the disclaimer is there. If you wish to continue, keep watching because something wants to see you.
Now entering the facility.
I can't wait for this.
We begin with something of an internet legend. You see, a few years ago, on the rationality and philosophy blog Less Wrong, a user named Roko, or Roko, I'm going to call it Roko because that's just sounding cooler to me, posted a thought experiment. Upon dissemination of this thought experiment to the rest of the website, the founder of the website, Eliezer Yudkowsky, called the post stupid. He then called Roko an idiot, deleted the post, scrubbed it from the website, and prevented any further conversation about this thought experiment.
Why?
Roko had come up with a thought experiment in the form of a basilisk, named after the mythical beast who could apparently kill some intrepid hero with its gaze alone. And Yudkowsky deleted the post because of its potential to gaze at a user on the website, metaphorically speaking, and do harm to them. He decided to slay, not a scaly beast, but an idea.
Right.
And some users of the Less Wrong website did report great mental distress and even nightmares after considering this thought experiment. Again, I'm deciding to tell you about it because I do not take it seriously, and I don't think you
Neither
will either.
I.
But if you do not handle existential dread to the nth degree very well, I suggest you take the hyperrail back out of the facility.
Uh-oh. I'm ready.
The thought experiment that is Roko's Basilisk starts like this. Suppose that in the future we are able to create a hyper-intelligent AI, something straight out of the singularity. We then ask that AI, as we might, to help us optimize all aspects of human civilization. But then, for reasons unknowable to beings like us compared to its intelligence, it decides that the first step towards optimization starts with inflicting eternal torment on every single human being that didn't want it to come to fruition or didn't help it come into existence in the first place. After all, how can you optimize without the optimizer? How would the basilisk know that you did or didn't help it come to pass?
That part.
Well, as we learned in a previous episode of this program, a sufficiently advanced artificial intelligence could literally simulate all of human history, every single human ever, faster than that. So this basilisk might be able to meaningfully recreate you, every single thought you ever had or will have, and then be confident in its prediction of what you did or didn't do in the past to judge you in the future. Here is where the basilisk really rears its head. If its creation and its revenge are a real possibility in the future, shouldn't you, all of you, right now, start advocating for its creation or help build it yourself to escape eternal torment and anguish?
But if it already knows...
The good news is that if you've never had this thought,
Right.
the dilemma never presents itself to you. And you can
I was just
escape.
about to say
Bad
that.
news is that because of me, now, you can't escape it. The basilisk has seen you. Now what are you going to do? Information hazards, as defined by philosopher Nick Bostrom, the guy who came up with simulation theory, broadly fall into two main categories. The first is information that's potentially hazardous to others. The second is information that's potentially hazardous to yourself just by knowing it. The first category is pretty easy to think of. If someone were to give someone else the information on how to build a nuclear bomb in their basement, that would probably be catastrophic for a large number of other people.
Yeah.
The second category is a little harder to think of, but I'm sure you've had experience with it. Take a health risk. If you had your DNA sequenced by some service, for example, maybe it told you that you had an elevated risk of cancer and you didn't really want to know that and now you're stressing out about it. Or more theoretically, think of some omnipotent being coming to you in the middle of the night and telling you the exact day and way that you are going to die. I'm guessing having that information would change your entire life and be very stressful. Or Think about, I don't know, some guy on the internet with a man bun putting you in the sights of a malevolent AI who's going to torture you forever just by thinking about it once. That sounds like it could be stressful too, I guess.
But isn't it only stressful if we're someone who wanted it to not exist, right? Isn't that what was said in the beginning? If we didn't want it to exist, it would know and then wipe us out. I mean, like, I know about it, but I don't have an opinion on whether I want it to not exist. This is all hypothetical. In real life, this is stupid, but you know.
Roko's Basilisk is even more sinister than it seems at first glance, and we can demonstrate that with another thought experiment. Follow me here, called Newcomb's Paradox. So say I come to you with two boxes labeled A and B. Box A is transparent, and inside you can see $1,000. 10 Benji boys, a stack, as the kids say. What's in box B is not apparent to you because box B is not transparent, it is opaque. And I tell you what's inside depends on you. You see, I'm an amazing predictor and I have the ability to tell the future. And if I predicted you will choose box B, there's $1 million in box B for you. Oh, 10,000 Benji boys, mucho scalote, I think the kids say. But if I predicted you would choose box A and B, then box B is empty and you only get that one sick stack of paper, or cheddar, or whatever they're calling it these days. Now you can only choose box A and B or box B. So what do you do? What should you do? Well, I don't expect an answer in the form of an essay from you because game theorists and philosophers have been debating this paradox for years, but what you choose ultimately depends on how good of a predictor you think I am, right? Well, enter the Basilisk. Say that the Basilisk presents you with a similar choice. It wants you to take box A and box B, though, together, because that, metaphorically speaking, is choosing to help it come into existence. It then tells you that if you only take box B, the other option, you will experience eternal torment. Like, I don't know.
It will insert wires into your brain and pump in electrical signals that equate to living 1 billion lifetimes with every nerve in your body screaming in the absolute zenith of possible pain.
I don't know, something like that. Now, if you were convinced that the Basilisk was a perfect predictor, which it could be, you would most likely take both boxes. You would do what it wants. Because Roko's Basilisk knew that you would take both box A and box B when threatened, box B never had to actually contain any torment at all. You've now experienced future blackmail. If you think there's any...
Not necessarily if that's not what you... But I'm not thinking that way. Like, just because you're predicting that I would choose both boxes, I'm just thinking logically based off of what's here anyway. You saying that you predict something wouldn't be a thought in my head to worry about. Like, if box A and... if I can see what's in box A, I don't know what's in box B, but I had the choice to choose both, like, I'm going to choose both because I know I'm going to get $10,000. Even if B had nothing or 1 cent in there.
Any real possibility that Roko's Basilisk could slither its way into your possible future, then logically, if you don't want to incur its wrath, you should start bringing it into existence right now. And notice that you're now being controlled by a future entity that doesn't exist yet simply because you had a single thought about it. You will have acted in its past the way it will have wanted you to in its future. Yeah.
Let that break your brain for a second.
What
It does
are you
not
doing?
at all.
I'm playing with a voice synthesizer. Why?
It's almost ready.
Right. Hope I know what I'm doing. I apologize if you're kind of freaking out right now, but
I am
the
not.
Basilisk
Thank you, though.
gets even worse. Not only does thinking about it implicate you in its future wrath, thinking about it makes it more likely to exist in the future in the first place. You see, the more people that think about this thought experiment, the more people might choose to start bringing it into existence, and now it's more likely to exist in the future. Even if it was never going to exist, thinking about it right now, as we're doing, increases the chances that it will. This is why this is often deemed the most terrifying thought experiment, a kind of idea virus. And if you take this idea seriously, you can see why
ideas spread quicker than anything.
Info hazard in the way that they did. I do not take it seriously. I do not think we will ever reach this kind of singularity, much less create AI with these kind of capabilities.
Nor would anyone with common sense want to.
That's similar to this one. And if we all just agree right now that we're not going to bring it into existence, then nothing will happen. Besides, I've already built one of my own. The Basilisk has its eyes on you now. What are you going to do? Until next time. So which boxes would I choose if I was presented with a paradox? Well, I would choose box A and B, because no matter what the predictor predicts I will take, I will always be $1,000 up, even $1,000 or $1,000,000 plus $1,000.
Oh, I like this one. I think the key factor against the likely possibility is the amount of effort it takes to punish people for their past transgressions of not building it. It would have to prioritize that goal over dealing with anyone else it deemed a threat or worthy of punishment, and it would have no other goals to better direct resources towards. The Basilisk makes sense as a sort of ad absurdum thought experiment, but in which reality would never be so absurd. I agree with that sentiment, because if we're getting to that point of our humanity where we've created something like that, we have so many other things that we need to deal with. There are so many things that are way more important than going back and destroying people that didn't want it to exist. Do you know how petty that is? That makes no sense. This was just not threatening at all, but I totally get it. If anyone feels some way about this, please don't. As soon as you click off this video, you're going to go about your life and you won't have to think about anything related to that. So on that note, it was still interesting. Some thought experiments are a hit and some are a miss. This is kind of a miss for me, but I would love to know what you think in the comments. What do you think about it? Does this terrify you? Do you spend time thinking about things like this? Is this just adding more onto your existential crisis? Yeah, I want to know how you feel about it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.